Well, good morning. This Sunday morning, I thought it was essential I do a video. I'm going to start off talking about Rodney Hinton. You know who he is. He's that black gentleman that ran over that police officer in revenge for another police officer murdering his son, which is very obvious after watching the video, the body cam of that police officer. He murdered that young man. There's no doubt about it. But I'll get to that towards the end because there's some other things that's related to it that I want to talk about first. One is law enforcement in general, whether it's local police, whether it's state police, whether it's federal police, FBI, U.S. Marshals, Homeland Security, whether it's fish and game nowadays, they can pull you over and give you a ticket. Forestry Department, FBI. The reason I'm at those last three, those are the ones who were at the Bundy standoff when we ran their butts off for stealing Cliven's cattle and threatened to kill him and anybody else. So there's so many different categories of law enforcement, okay? And here's the crazy thing, they're pretty much all on the same page. They get all their training from fusion centers. Now, has that changed under the new administration? That's yet to be seen. But fusion centers are the ones that started this crap that you got to show your ID regardless. There doesn't have to be reasonable suspicion. There doesn't have to be a crime involved. And then if you don't turn over your ID, you are obstructing. This is asked backwards and is very wrong because that is your Fourth Amendment right to be secure in your person and your papers, articles, and effects. And this has really it's really bad. All you got to do is watch some YouTube videos. This thing's across the nation where, these cops, law enforcement, have been brainwashed into thinking that you have to give them their ID if they ask for it. And it's nationwide. And what happens in many cases, law enforcement will pull somebody over, and for no reason. They're just fishing. They'll have some stupid thing like, oh, your license plate light is out or is too dim or whatever. And then, but they won't tell you why they pulled you over. And then if you don't give them your ID, well, guess what? You're obstructing, and you're going to go to jail. Or the next thing you know is, we want to search your vehicle. And if you don't let us search your vehicle, we'll bring the canines out, and they will hit on your vehicle. And that's really become a problem. These dogs, they did a study on these canine dogs, and they're wrong at least 50% of the time. At least 50% of the time. So there you go. They just want to go fishing and run your ID and see if you have anything that they can come and arrest you for. And what's really sad about that is the number one way that you are tracked by the deep state is with your vehicle registration and all the things that are tied to it, your social security, your address, your history, so that they could track you. And you remember they were going to try to attach a bunch of other things to it. Now they're coming out what they call the real ID. Okay? Oh boy, I can't wait to see what that's all about. But this has been going on nationwide, and it's been abused by law enforcement. And then, you got a bad economy. We've had a bad economy under the Biden administration. A lot of people are right on the edge of surviving. And there was one young man a few years ago who bought a car. He didn't have time to get it registered or insured. He had just gotten a job, and he was trying to get things together. financially. And he gets pulled over, and of course, he's trying to explain things to him. The right to travel, okay, he was educated that. And these two officers, Highway Patrol, they just won't have it, They end up macing him and tasing him and this and that and trying to drag him out of his vehicle. Well, unbeknownst to them, he was able to reach under a car seat and get a gun. And he killed one outright, shot him multiple times, once in the head, when the officer was down trying to pull his gun. And then the other officer he shot and really messed him up. He don't remember anything. He's not in law enforcement anymore. And it just happened again recently, where two officers were doing the same thing, and a guy pulled out a gun, killed them both. This is just like in the last couple of weeks. You think they would get the frigging message, because this is just the beginning. I'm telling you, this is just the beginning of people absolutely fed up with a standing army that our forefathers warned us about. Okay? And it's reached a tipping point, because law enforcement have never had an order or a command, no matter how immoral, that they won't enforce. No matter how immoral. And you see it all the time. And it gets worse all the time, because they're narcissist, self-serving, alpha male ideologues that think they're above and better than everybody else because they went to the academy. Yeah, they got 6 weeks of education there, and they really think they're highly intelligent, and they're dumb as a box of rocks. They don't understand the Constitution. They take an oath to the Constitution. I don't think they ever read it. They sure don't go by it now, do they? Okay, now I'm getting back to Rodney Hinton. This fella that just killed a cop with his vehicle in retaliation for another cop that murdered his son. Now, I don't know how you feel about that, but let me point something out. Do you know one of the highest rated movies, box office revenue coming in that's ever been? The Patriot with Mel Gibson. Yeah. In that movie, Mel Gibson was portrayed as a patriot with he had the high moral ground. When the King George, one of his law enforcement officers, let's call him a law enforcement, a red coat. Today they're fed coats and blue coats. Killed Mel Gibson's son. Of course, that's not his stage name or a movie name. What did Mel Gibson do? He went on a bloody rampage. Did he kill the officer that killed his son? Not initially in the movie, but he eventually does. But he just went on a bloody rampage, took his children, taught them how to kill, and they wiped out a whole bunch. And the movie portrayed him as having the high moral ground. And the box office receipts proved it. Think about that. Just think about that. Now, I truly believe law enforcement has got to rein in their bad officers, which they won't, because they have the unions to back them. They have the corrupt judges, the corrupt courts, the corrupt attorneys to protect them. And the people know it. And for years, people would get a citation, they just go pay it. Well, it gets harder and harder just to pay those citations when you don't have any money. And you're having a hard time feeding your family. You're having a hard time making ends meet. What do you think's going to happen? What do you think's going to happen, law enforcement? I can tell you what's going to happen. A lot more of you guys are going to get ambushed and killed. Over and out.